Hi guys, it's Alita Terry from Organic Skincare NYC, and today I am giving you another video, and today's topic is going to be estrogen and how it has an influence on our beauty, our body, and our attraction. Okay, so let's get started. So for those of you who don't know what estrogen is, I will tell you. Estrogen is a family of female sex hormones that delivers messages to the tissues in our body so they can take a certain shape in a certain way. Estrogen is responsible for the size of our thighs, our hips, and in the development of our breast. And there are three types of estrogen. We have estrone, which is one of the weaker estrogens. You find it present in postmenopausal women. We have estriol, which is the strongest type of estrogen, and you find that present in menstruating women, women who are ovulating, or in their childbearing years. And lastly, we have the weakest estrogen, and that's called estriol. And that's present in pregnant women. Some people even define estriol as just kind of like the remnants of estradiol and what's left over of the hormone when the woman is pregnant. So we first start kind of releasing estrogen from our ovaries in the beginning of puberty. Estrogen helps us release the eggs, and we need our eggs to get fertilized. So estrogen kind of helps in the process of that. But scientists have also found estrogen in our brains. Estrogen is released from our brains. Now, what scientists have discovered is that the presence of estrogen in the brain actually makes you smarter. It improves communication between brain cells. And studies have even shown that estrogen has improved memory and increases accuracy on tests. So, the idea that women could be smarter than men, there could be some truth to that. Okay, so now that we know the physiological standpoint of estrogen, let's talk about how it influences the way that we look. So, moving on to, there was a study and that scientists did on postmenopausal women. They noticed that when women went through menopause, there was a drastic change in their appearance. Their skin was drier, thinner, more prone to wrinkles, more prone to sun damage, and pigmentation issues. So what happened was they were seeing that when it came to collagen and thickness of the skin, that postmenopausal women were losing about 2% of collagen a year after they would go through menopause, and about 1% of skin thickness they would lose in their postmenopausal years. And what scientists did was they took those postmenopausal women and they put them on hormone replacement therapy. And about 12 months after hormone replacement therapy, they noticed the effects. They saw that the estrogen that was a gel applied to the skin made their skin thicker. They noticed that there was an increase of about 7 to 15% in collagen alone through hormone replacement therapy. So they drew the conclusion that estrogen plays a very big part on the appearance and the thickness of a woman's skin. They also noticed kind of the same thing when it came to moisture retainment. After those postmenopausal years, a woman's skin becomes very dry. So they set out to figure out why. Now, we have a top layer of our skin called the stratum corneum. That stratum corneum has lipids, and it's responsible for keeping moisture in our skin. But when estrogen is depleted, when it goes down, that stratum corneum breaks down and the skin becomes very dry. Again, scientists put those women on hormone replacement therapy, and they found within 2 weeks, the woman's skin started to retain their moisture levels. No more dry skin. It's actually pretty amazing. Now, let's move on to pigmentation. How does estrogen affect pigmentation? There's a little twist to this. So, estrogen does have an effect on pigmentation, but it has more an effect on pigmentation when there's too much estrogen. So when a woman is pregnant, and you'll see this a lot amongst Latino women and Asian women, she might develop melasma, especially during sun exposure. That is a case of too much estrogen causing pigmentation issues. Now, putting a woman on hormone therapy, which you really can't do when they're pregnant, but putting a woman on hormone therapy would make the problem worse. They have to wait until they're off, until they have the baby, and then they can address the issue of pigmentation. But too much estrogen can cause pigmentation issues like melasma and hyperpigmentation. Okay, so another thing that estrogen has an effect on is hair. You can also see this during pregnancy. So our hair grows and falls out in stages. We have the growth stage, the resting stage, and the falling out stage. When you're pregnant and your estrogen levels at our high, steady rate, it prolongs the growth stage of our hair stages. So I don't know. I know when I was pregnant with my daughter, every day I would wake up and I would have a bigger and bigger afro. And my doctor told me, oh, that's the estrogen because it prolongs the stage of hair growth. And it also blocks DHT, which is for hair, which is responsible for hair loss, for balding. So, but when you have the baby, the estrogen goes down and that excess hair that you have eventually falls out. So estrogen has an effect on the way your hair looks as well. Now, let's move along to how estrogen affects the look of our body. Our hip and waist ratio is directly related to the amount of estrogen that we have in our body. Those who have a higher rate of estrogen in their body will have a lower waist to hip ratio. Those who have a higher amount of testosterone in their body will have a higher waist to hip ratio. So what scientists did is they placed a group of pictures in front of men and women. They asked the men, and they gave them different sizes of women. They asked the men, what look do you find most appealing? And without a doubt, the men were more drawn to, more attracted to, found more appealing the women with the bigger bottoms and the smaller waist. Now, when the women looked at these set of photographs, they only looked at the woman's face and they judged a woman by her facial features. They did not look at the woman's body. So their assessment of beauty when it came to women judging women varied. But with men, they kept kind of the same pattern. The woman with the smaller waist and the bigger bottom was what they were they found appealing. And we can even take it a step further. Studies also showed that the smaller waist to hip ratio, they were 30% more likely to conceive a child. And men also sense that to be more attractive. So all of this tells you that estrogen plays a profound role in the way that we look. It is controversial now to use hormone replacement therapy because it's been attached to hormonal cancers like breast cancers, endometrial cancers, and things like that. But we can still eat foods that are rich in estrogen and phytoestrogens. So I hope you guys have learned something from my video. Thank you so much for listening. Like, share, comment. If you have any questions, you can also send me an email. And don't forget to subscribe to my brand new oil subscriptions where it's a membership where I'm sending you new oils for your hair, skin, and body every day. They're organic oils and they're very high quality. So again, thank you, and I'll talk to you soon into my next video.